I slept with a Venezuelan, and she taught me the meaning of the phrase, "You're fucking pissing me off." In Venezuela, they usually ask if you're joking or if you're kidding by using the phrase, "You're sucking my dick." In other Latin American countries, the phrase is not used, and if you hear it, it has a sexual connotation like, "You're giving me oral sex." Once the point is clear, I want to tell you something that happened to me with a Venezuelan girl. At a meeting of friends, as usual, there was no shortage of drinks and jokes. Among the guests was a very pretty Venezuelan girl. I don't really remember what joke I told her that made her instinctively get Venezuelan, and she asked me laughing, "You're sucking my dick?" I understood her perfectly, but pretending not to have understood her, I answered laughing, continuing the joke, "Not yet, but I'm ready whenever you want." While smiling, she said to me in a rather low tone, I suppose so that no one else would hear her, "You know it wouldn't be a bad idea." Continuing with the sayings, I thought, to the wise, few words are enough. I understood that, unexpectedly, a rather pleasant opportunity was opening up for me. Applying a little psychology, I didn't ask her anything. I practically gave her an order. "Give me a sign when you want us to leave." It worked for me. Without speaking, she made a slight movement of acceptance with her eyes and head. More than acceptance, I took it as submission. The laughter and the drinks continued among those present, but between us our attitude had changed. Our eyes searched for each other in an almost desperate way, like a tacit preamble to the storm of passions that was approaching. After a while, the expected signal came. After making a small but suggestive movement of her head, she stood up and began to say goodbye, which, being a woman logically, took her a few minutes. I left without saying goodbye to wait for her outside. If speaking to her in an imperative tone had worked before, there was no reason for me to change, and I asked her in the same way, "In your car or mine?" "In yours. I came by taxi," she answered. "We're going to my apartment. Do you want to eat something first?" She shook her head, saying, "Not right now, maybe later. If you have to cook at home, stop by the liquor store and buy yourself some beers." "Your wish is my command," I answered, smiling, and so we did. When we got to my apartment, I asked her, "You asked me if I had something to cook. Can you check the refrigerator to see what you find?" Smiling mischievously, she answered, "Yes, but later. I'm not here to cook. I'm here for something you promised me, remember?" Without hesitation, I said, "A promise is a promise, but first things first. Come to the bathroom." What I had initially thought was my authoritarian way of speaking to him, I realized was actually a beautiful, subtle, and delicate character. He followed me into the bathroom with a burning gaze and a mischievous smile on his lips. Every step we took resonated with the palpable anticipation of what was to come. As we closed the door behind us, the outside world seemed to fade away, leaving us alone in a universe of mutual desire. Our bodies slowly moved closer, as if they were dancing a forbidden dance. His hands found mine, and a shiver ran down my spine as our skin brushed against each other with an electricity that ignited every fiber of our being. The heat between us was palpable, and the very air seemed charged with passion. Without a word, we gave ourselves to each other. Under the pretext of soaping each other up, we dedicated ourselves to exploring every inch of skin with a voracious desire and an insatiable need. Every sigh, every moan, was an echo of the lust that burned between us, consuming us in a fire that could only be quenched by the other. In that moment, we were one, lost in an ecstasy of pleasure that enveloped us and took us to new heights of satisfaction. Our inner heat of the moment propelled us out of the shower, onto the bed where we continued the whirlwind of unbridled passion. Our bodies melted into a fiery embrace, as our lips sought each other out eagerly and our hands explored every curve with increasing urgency. In the midst of the frenzy, she interrupted me with her signature mischievous laugh and began to say out loud, "What I came for." I found it so funny that I interrupted her by telling her, "At your command, my colonel, your wishes will be fulfilled immediately." Without hesitation, I kept my word, giving myself to her with renewed passion. Each caress, each kiss, was a tribute to our shared desire, a declaration of total and absolute surrender. While I was satisfying his desires, I asked him to reciprocate in the same way. This time he used a different tone, almost pleading when he told me, "Of course I will do it, but let me enjoy both pleasures individually. Doing one at a time, I will concentrate better. This time I was the submissive and obedient one, letting her teach me why Venezuelan girls so often use the expression, "You're sucking my cock?" I slept with a Venezuelan girl and I understood why Venezuelan girls so often use the expression, "You're sucking my cock?" If you like the video, give it a like and subscribe. It would help us a lot.